Welcome to another episode of Sports Scene. I think because of the news that's broke today, I think we should start with the big boxing news. The deal has been signed by both parties, so Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury have both signed contract. So now we're just waiting on a confirmed date and venue.
Yeah, that's a two fight deal as well, so the rematch clause must be in there.
Yeah, so they said that both fights were going to happen this year as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing that could possibly be like June, December type of thing.
You'd have to think so, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what everyone wanted, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
that was the only fight to make. So
it's exactly what we've been waiting for.
well, yeah,
Glad it's been done.
Let's say it's been a while because we got pretty much told at some point last year that the deal was close and there's no stumbling blocks, and it seems to have dragged on for about 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
So that news broke today. So hopefully, probably the next few weeks, maybe they'll have an official date and venue. I think they're going to be waiting as well to see if fans are allowed to go into the stadium, because I think they want to hold it at Wembley, being like a unification clash or like all British. So I think that's what could possibly be holding it up. But I wouldn't be surprised if it went to Saudi Arabia or something like that.
Yeah, just to make sure they can have fans. It's a fight that kind of needs fans, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's meant to be like a £200 million fight, so
you need.
I'm not too sure whether they've. Yeah, I mean, they're going to need some type of gate and obviously like stuff like that. Would it be interesting? I don't think they've announced what broadcaster's going to do it, because obviously Tyson Fury's with BT Sports and Anthony Joshua's with Sky Sports. So whether they're going to show it on both channels, whether they're going to come to some sort of deal, I don't know. But that's not been announced either. So that'll be interesting as well to see, because it's not often that happens.
Yeah, it could be one fight on each with a bit of a tussle for who gets the first one.
Yeah. Well, they could do that, couldn't they? They could have like the first fight on Sky, second fight on BT, or
the problem is there's no guarantee the second fight happens. Like,
no.
I know it's contracted, but if one of them's like, I don't want it, then
yeah,
you know.
I think there was a fight in America. I forgot who was fighting now, but it happened in that situation. I think one was with like DAZN, and someone was with something like Top Rank or something like that. So one was on like ESPN and someone was on like another, and they showed it. They showed it on like the both on both channels, same time. So that could possibly happen, but they could have one fight each. I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out like how, since I don't think it's ever been done in England like that. So
yeah, that'll
be interesting to see how that goes. But I'd imagine it's probably going to be shown on both, to be honest.
Well, things to look forward to for sure.
Definitely. And we were speaking about this at like the previous podcast, hoping that it was going to be announced, and now it has. So it's something to look forward to, like I said. But I think obviously moving on from that's all the details we have right now.
Yeah.
So just want a quick question off that as well. Who do you think wins?
It's a tough one because, like, I like AJ. I think AJ's boss, but I also think Tyson Fury's possibly might be the best in the world. So I don't know, it'd be an interesting fight in my opinion. I think we might see AJ fight a bit like the way he did against Parker, and a bit the way he did against Ruiz the second time. A lot more reserved and holding back a lot rather than winging punches. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think at the moment I'm sitting on the fence and leaning towards Tyson Fury, but I couldn't honestly say. How about you?
Difficult, because I do like them both. It's usually like a situation where I like one fighter more than the other.
Yeah, so you back.
So it's easy back for me. But this time I don't know. I'm on the fence like you, but it'd be interesting. I don't think Fury can fight Joshua the way he fought Wilder the second time and just go at him.
Yeah, I don't feel like Joshua throws. He throws hard punches, but he doesn't throw them as wild as Wilder does. Like they're not winging punches; they're down the pipe. They're clean. So I agree. I don't think he could just swarm him.
Yeah, that's what like Fury said, and he said he could see Wilder's punches coming from a mile off because they're like windmills, aren't they? So
he just telegraphs it way too easy.
Yeah, but I don't think you can do that with Joshua. So I think it'll be more of the Fury from the first Wilder fight where it's a lot of like jabbing and moving and like being elusive and all that. But it's going to be a cracky fight. I can't wait for it. I say that's all the details now. So if we just move on to the football, the game of the weekend that we said is the game of the weekend was a little bit of a ball fest.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It was very slow. Obviously, I got the outcome I wanted, but not the way I wanted it. I don't know, West Ham just sat back for 65 minutes until we scored, and then didn't have really much to offer. I don't remember them having a marked shot on target. So yeah, ball fest is a pretty accurate description.
Yeah, I don't. When I say it was a ball fest, I don't think that was anything to do with Man United. I think it was the way West Ham set up. They just. It's a bit confusing because when I've watched them this year, they've been really good.
Yeah.
Like I said, when they come to the Etihad, they were really good, especially on like counter attack. Against Man United, they didn't have that. They just stuck one person up front, tried to hoof the ball down, and he couldn't quite hold it up or anything like that. So it was. I thought it was weird tactics by West Ham, but I thought United deserved to win. I think the best players on the pitch were Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and Lucas Fabianski.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. Fabianski made some cracking saves. Like it was a very weird tactic from West Ham. It was almost like they'd set up on the 40-yard line and said, "We're gonna stay here, Mikel Antonio. You just run around in their half and try and distract them a little bit." I think you nailed it when we were doing the watch along. They came for a draw, and then as soon as the goal went in, they were like, "Oh, we have to score now." And that left some space in behind, and United nearly got in a couple of times, but still not as many times to be able to justify it as a good game. Sadly, it was just a bit of a boring game.
Yeah, and I'd say there's not much to talk about. There wasn't much going on during the game. United didn't play the best. They were like some easy passes, like go out and play and passing it straight to West Ham and stuff like that. And then West Ham just set up negatively all game. And then obviously the goal was an own goal. Apart from that, that pretty much sums up the whole game.
Yeah, I really don't think there's much more you can say on it, to be honest. Moving on to the next game.
Yeah. Obviously the other game was Man City. Fulham against Man City. I did predict City to drop points, which did look the way for where the first half went. It kind of looked like it was going that way because there wasn't really much in the game. But I think City scored 3 in about 10 minutes after half time.
There's two big defensive mistakes gifted you the last 2 goals.
Yeah.
You could even argue the first was poor defending.
Yeah. The first one, obviously that was a set piece, and then the other 2 were defensive mistakes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. You could look at the scoreline and think it was one-sided or City were in full control, but watching the game, that obviously wasn't the case. City made a lot of changes as well. I mean, they didn't play a lot of the top players, if you would, like your Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, players like that. So they've gone in there, done the job, Aguero was on the score sheet.
I was going to say, I suppose the shining light. It's the first time in about 400 days because of injury, is it, or something like that? It's been a while.
I think with his COVID and injuries and stuff like that. I forgot how long it was. I think it was
like 435 days. I read something along them lines.
Yeah, I think it was like February last year.
Yeah,
something like that. But there was a report saying that he's been like match fit for a while, but he's not been getting game time, and then he's been getting linked to Barcelona and stuff like that. So
it's an interesting.
It was a penalty. So we've got someone that can score a penalty, which is nice. So that was pretty much the outcome of the game. But I thought the scoreline, I don't think give Fulham the justice that they deserve. But,
I did think had a good game. Is Torres in midfield? Is it Ferdinand Torres or whatever his name? I thought he had a really good game. So he's another up and coming youngster for City.
He's a good player. I just don't think he's. I think he's quite, because he's come from Spain over to the Premier League. I think he needs to like bulk up a little bit.
Yeah, possibly.
He's not very like strong. He does get pushed off the ball easily, and there is games, but as I say, he's only like 20, 21, I think. Yeah. So he's still very young. But he was can't really moan. 3-0. Well, that was before United's game, so I think we're 14 points clear with the game in hand. Yeah. So United have got a game in hand. They cut it down to 11.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's 8 games left.
It's not happening, is it? Might as well give you the trophy now.
I mean, mathematically, I think City still need four wins, is it? 4 wins,
because
4 to 5
if you're
wins.
11 points, then you could drop 12 with 4 losses, couldn't you? So
yeah, it's just about 4 wins, 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much done. So let's talk about the quadruple carrying on. Obviously, the Premier League's pretty much shown up with the final of the Carabao Cup. We've got the Champions League tomorrow, which we're 1 foot into the quarters, and then obviously we're still in the FA Cup, which gets played this weekend as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, let's say, because I think the issue with City, they've got a great squad. I mean, not just the first 11. Like they could just. I think City we must make about 6 or 7 changes every single game.
It's possible with a squad like that, though. That's
you know what I mean? So, and with the Premier League pretty much sewn up, we can carry on making changes and keeping the squad fresh for the Champions League and stuff like that. So, I think it will be very interesting.
True. Now, the other big game of the weekend was the North London derby, which started off. The scoring was opened by. I mean, how do you describe it? A piece of magic? Wizardry.
It's something. That game, I think, just summed up Lamela as a player.
Exactly. He goes and scores a Rabona through the legs, curl into the far corner, and then in the second half gets booked twice in about 9 minutes and gets sent off. It's just it was classic Lamela, to be honest. But Spurs, I mean, even Jose Mourinho said after the game, they were poor in the first half. They were 1-0 up until like the 44th minute, and they wholeheartedly did not deserve to be up at half time with the way they played. And then Martin Odegaard got the deflection and the equaliser. And then even in the second half, they didn't play great up until Lamela got sent off, really. They pushed for like the last 10-15 minutes, had a few chances, but in the end, Arsenal won. Lacazette got a penalty maybe 50 minutes, something like that, which was another contentious area, but...
Yeah, you got Harry Kane, hit the post from a free kick,
Yeah.
Was it like the 90th minute or something like that?
I think it was at 89 minutes, and then Davinson Sanchez had the follow-up played off the line.
And that would have been very undeserving.
Yeah, it would have been very unfair to Arsenal, who had been much the better side.
Yeah, and we spoke about it as well. We said the game would probably depending on how Mourinho sets up.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't think they didn't play well, Spurs, but they must have been told to set up that defensively.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna set up that defensively, then I don't get what more you can ask for.
Yeah, he kind of welcomes pressure and it just doesn't work. Like, I feel like in his interview, he was almost trying to blame the players. But then towards the end of his interview, he kind of realised what he'd said and he was like, well, I can't set the team up. So he was like, but I'm not having to go at the players because, you know, I belong to the team, we're all a team. So what he's effectively saying is, it was actually my fault, but I tried to blame all the players first.
Yeah, I think that's what he did at Man United quite a lot, though. He
Yeah.
kind of blamed the players and not like he constantly went after Luke Shaw. And then when I remember when Luke Shaw had a good game, he basically went into there and said, "Oh yeah, but I was telling him what to do during the game."
Do you have an earpiece
So
in, like?
yeah, like he still never give him like the credit, and then he was always attacking. So maybe he thought, you know, that's probably not the approach to have. And now it's oh no, we're all one team. You know, we're this and that. So yeah, but he's got to take the blame.
Interestingly, before the game as well, Aubameyang pulled from the starting squad for a disciplinary reason that they didn't go into. You know, what did you make of that?
It was. I've read into it, and it wasn't. I thought it was going to be something like interesting, but
no. Apparently, it was late. Is what I read.
Yeah,
he just showed up late.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, he just showed up late, and he was stuck in traffic.
Wow.
That was it. Someone took a picture from like a building in London, and he was obviously driving his supercar.
As you do as a footballer.
I think he was stuck in traffic behind like an Escort or something like that.
Oh, imagine the pain! You just sat there in your Lamborghini, just like.
It was quite funny, but yeah, I thought it was going to be something interesting, but he was literally just stuck in traffic and arrived late.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's an interesting. I suppose some certain clubs probably just have specific disciplinary things. If you're late, no matter what, then you get pulled from the squad, basically. But I thought at half time it was 1-1. He might have made an appearance, but then I suppose it speaks to Arteta. He was like, you know what? No, we've made a decision. We're not gonna go. Oh, we're in trouble. Please come on. But I feel like had they've lost that game after doing that, he'd have come under a lot of stick.
Yeah, then you know he could have. I think there's a lot of managers that probably could have gone. He's my best player, so he's still going to play.
Just fine.
So I think
if that's the case.
Yeah, so I think he's shown a bit of a backbone to say, even though you're our best player, you've come here late, but I don't want you benched.
Yeah, I do like that because it's like it's not the one rule for one for another then because they don't mean anything if that's the case because as soon as you're a decent enough player, you're like, well, I can do what the fuck I want. He's not going to leave me out, so
yeah.
Respect to Arteta for that one.
I like managers like that kind of, you know what, I don't care who you are. You know, no
players
you're following the rules, what everyone else rules. So,
and that was always the thing with Ferguson. He was always like, no one player is bigger than this club.
Yeah,
I think that's why he got rid of Beckham in the end because, he was starting to get that ego about him basically.
I think that was like he was like starting to get like a off the pitch like fame kind of wise, weren't it? So,
but beyond that, I would say most of the other results this week went the way you would have expected them to.
Yeah, Leicester had a very good win. I said on the watch along, I think Sheffield United don't get hammered. I know the bottom of the league, but it's usually like a 2-1, maybe a 2-0. It's the games are usually tight. They're usually quite defended. They don't leak a lot of goals, but Leicester hit them for 5. Billy Sharp did an interview after the game and was brutally honest and said it was men against boys. It should have been a lot more than 5 and stuff like that. So, they're definitely gone. Obviously, the bottom of the league have been awful this year, but it'd be interesting to see who they actually bring in to replace Wilder as well.
Yeah. I've noticed with Leicester, Ian Atcho seems to be hitting some form recently. I think it's 5 in his last 3 or something like that. He's pulled them out of a couple of tough situations as well.
He has, and I think he was good for Man City, but I don't know, he can be a bit inconsistent. You know, you watch him and the talent's there and stuff, and
yeah, never truly.
But obviously he's showing it.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I'm happy for him now.
Yeah, it's as you say, it's whether he can keep up that form now, because that could be the big thing that Leicester need for this run in now. Because we've spoke about how in previous years they've fallen off at the end. So if he can stay in form, and then you can get him linking up with Jamie Vardy, that could be what they need to really push United for the second place battle.
Yeah.
So other football, we've got Liverpool Wolves. That's tonight. Do we have any more midweek football? We've got Champions League in the week, haven't we?
Yeah, Champions League midweek. Yeah. What Monday? I think it is just the Wolves Liverpool game tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That probably kicks off in about an hour from when we're recording this.
Yeah. It'd be interesting, but I think Wolves without Jimenez are not very good.
Yeah, they've really struggled without him up front, to be honest.
And you just see how important he is to that team. I was looking at the table before, and he's scored 28 goals in 28 games.
Yeah, it's not good enough, is it?
No, it's not good enough at all. I mean, going from let's have a look at last season. They scored 51 goals last year.
Yeah.
In 38 games. It's a big drop off.
Yeah.
And they finished 7th last year, and now they're 9 points above relegation this year with 13. And that's the only I can think of major injury they've had, so you can tell how important he is to that team. And they've brought in 2 strikers that haven't really done much either.
Yeah, that's
so it'd be interesting to see how well they do, because Liverpool are obviously off form as well.
Yeah.
Do they see that as an opportunity to obviously build the gap from third to them to relegation? Because like we said with Man United, they could be dragged into an unnecessary top 4 race, where Wolves could be dragged into an unnecessary relegation battle.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams down there that need just 1 or 2 more wins to really push themselves away from that group. As we were looking at during the watch along, Newcastle play a lot of those teams that are in and around in the run in. So if Newcastle can turn some of them teams over and drag them into it as well, all the better for them.
Definitely, completely agree. And as I say, I still feel Newcastle will go down.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see a way out for them at the moment. Fulham are picking wins up, so I feel like Fulham will probably drag themselves out there. But there's a few down there that are in risk, like Burnley and Brighton. But yeah, I guess after the next couple of games, we'll have a lot clearer view on that one.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, just I was going to say, just going for the midweek games. Would you make any case for Gladbach to get in it against Man City, or do you literally think that game's over?
I think that game's done. I can only see you adding more to the total, to be honest. I don't see them. Maybe like a tiny glimpse of light if they score really early and look really good.
If they score first.
Yeah. And I mean early in the game as well, though, like first 20 minutes, really give themselves a chance to build on it.
Yeah.
But for me, City are going to cruise through that one.
The other game that night is Real Madrid and Atalanta.
That one's poised at 1-1, but they had a red card in the first leg, didn't they?
It's 1-0 Real Madrid.
Oh, it's 1-0. I thought it was 1-1 for some reason.
1-0.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, Atalanta went quite a hefty amount of time with a player off last game, didn't they?
Yeah, and then Real Madrid scored quite late. I think it was something like that. Yeah. But Atalanta are a good attacking team, so I won't be surprised if they got a couple of away goals and put the pressure on Real Madrid.
I wouldn't be surprised to see either team win that one. It's a bit of a toss-up for me. Real Madrid not quite the team they once were, are they?
Definitely not. No, and they've they're an oldish team now as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the Real Madrid of old, and you can definitely get at them and obviously beat them. But I think obviously I think they're the only 2 games on Tuesday, going from Wednesday. If you had to put your neck out and say who would go through, obviously you've said that you feel Man City are through, but if you had to choose out of Real Madrid and Atalanta, who would that be?
Atalanta, I think I'd go for. I just think that they've got the better options.
Yeah, I tipped Atalanta for the first leg, but I think the red card did affect them. But I would still put them, for me, as them to go through.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see it as a shock either.
No, I wouldn't.
If that was the case.
Very true.
When the games on Wednesday, the games on Wednesday for me are quite straightforward. See Bayern Munich, Lazio, Bayern Munich 4-1 up.
Yeah, they're cruising through.
Now they're at home, so they're definitely through. The other game is Chelsea and Atletico Madrid. That's 1-0. I'm not sure whether just have a look.
I was gonna say, where is the second leg? I think it's at Stamford Bridge, isn't it?
At the moment, it's at Stamford Bridge. I think it's too short notice to change that now. They changed the. I know they changed. They said the Man City game was at the SN, and then they ended up changing it.
Yeah.
So it's back in Hungary, but I think this one is still at Stamford Bridge.
I think that it's a toss-up, because if Atletico show up, they could do some damage to Chelsea. I know under Tuchel now they seem a bit more sound, a bit more solid, but I don't know. I wouldn't rule anyone out of that game.
For me, I just think the way they set up in that first game, Atletico Madrid, I think at one time they were playing like 6 or 7 defenders.
Yeah. Well, they're going to know this one that they can't do that because they're 1 down already and they have to go and get that goal.
It was very surprising. Obviously, the top of like La Liga and they're playing really well, and I expected them to go into that game basically still playing the same tactics that they've had all season, and they just went completely defensive.
Yeah, I feel like
they played Chelsea too much respect.
Yeah, I think it might have been though. You know, like the whole we were saying about United having the first leg at home first, trying to not ship that away goal really, and obviously once that happened, then it's like crap, it's happened. But maybe they've set up thinking if we can nick a 1-0 win, or even if we get a 0-0, they've not scored an away goal, we score 1 away, they've got to score 2 type of thing.
Yeah.
So it could have been down to that really.
Possibly, and like you said, Chelsea are playing really well under Tuchel now as well. So I think that would probably be the game with the obviously Bayern Munich 4-1 up, and they're now at home. You probably expect them to go have another cruising victory, really.
Yeah.
So that would be definitely the game day on Wednesday. But I think that's pretty much all the midweek.
Yeah, we'll
with the big games anyway.
We'll look at the Europa Leagues Thursday when we do the Thursday show, I suppose.
We might be doing the watch along for the United game as well.
Yeah, there'll probably be a watch along for the United game, true. Alright, and so moving away from football, let's go to the rugby. Do you have the rugby results handy, or do you know them by heart?
I've got them. I do have them here. Bear with me.
Again, I think I know who won every game.
It was pretty much
as advertised.
How it was. I mean, I said Wales would get a crunching victory in Italy, which they did. They won 48 points to 7.
Yeah.
I think Italy only scored their try like in the second half, quite early in the second half.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it was all Wales as expected. England beat France by 23 points to 20.
Yeah.
That was actually a really good game. I think England were. I said in the previous podcast that England have been giving away too many penalties and the discipline's been awful, but the discipline was a lot better during that game. That was. I think they were down at half time as well, so they showed a bit of character coming back as well, which was obviously good because they haven't been playing well at all. and then the game on those were the two games on Saturday. The game on Sunday pretty much played out how I said as well. Really, I said it'd be a tight game.
Yeah, one score victory type of thing.
One score. Yeah, and I said if you had to lean to someone, it probably would be Ireland, and that was the case. Yeah, exactly. So they beat Scotland by 27 points to 24. So I said the England game could go either way. But pretty much got the other two results spot on, really.
Yeah, true.
So I think Wales have a look.
I think France would have to beat them by a significant amount of points to win or something.
Wales are 9 points above France now, so that's over.
That done and dusted, is it? Fair enough.
Yeah. I think that was all the. Yeah, that's all the rugby game. It was pretty much the way we the way we said. So I'm just happy England won, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, I think. Finally, moving on to the MMA and the UFC. Bit of a disappointing one with the main event. So the fight ends up being what's it called? It's a no contest, isn't it? When it's like that, no contest due to an eye poke. Edwards eye poking Bilal Muhammad. What did you make of the fight up until that point?
I thought Leon Edwards was really good. He looked really. He said in his post-fight he doesn't believe in ring rust, and it looked like that was the case because he looked sharp. Yeah. He was clearly winning the first round. Clearly won the first round. He did have an eye poke in the first round. Herb Dean kind of said, having your hands out is fine, but keep it away from his face.
Yeah, you got to be pointing up, haven't you?
Yeah, so he did warn him, and then obviously the eye poke in round 2. You seen his eye straight away.
Nasty one.
Yeah, it swelled up, and there was talk of the commentators where he was saying, Leon Edwards could be in trouble of a loss.
Yeah, he could have been disqualified because he'd been warned. Because
he warned him he clearly warned him in the first round, and he kept repeating it during the first round.
Yeah.
Then obviously he did it in round 2, and then obviously he got given as a no contest, but it's got to be frustrating for him as well because he's been waiting so long for a fight.
Yeah.
He gets a fight and then it ends like that, which then he was hoping to obviously beat him and then say,
I want Usman.
I want Usman next, but that kind of puts a bit of a stumbling block in there. Do you?
In a way, don't you think it kind of helps the UFC because now? Originally he was thinking I'm going to win this and then I'm going to call out Usman and I'm going to call out for the UFC to not have Usman versus Masvidal, give me the shot instead. Now you kind of almost have to do a rematch in that fight, which gives them time to get the Usman Masvidal thing done.
I think it makes sense from the UFC.
Yeah. Whether Leon Edwards agrees, but
I mean it's got to be because he's been wanting a title fight for a while now, hasn't he? And then he's got back in the ring, and then like you just said, I'd imagine his point of view would have been, I'm going to obviously go into this fight, beat him, get on the mic and be like, I want Usman next.
Yeah, definitely. It has to have been his plan, to be honest.
So,
but, sometimes in life shit happens.
Well, could they do the rematch in a few weeks?
Possibly. Depends, how substantial the injury was.
Oh, no, I've not seen what the injury. I mean, I was listening to Bisbin after the fight, and he was saying it looks like it could be a scratched eye or something. He did say what it is because he's had it a few times. Yeah, he said it doesn't look like it's a detached cornea or anything like that because your eye would be out here. So he said it from his personal perspective, you can heal from that within 2 or 3 weeks, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it could be a way to just try and get it back in a couple of weeks down the line.
I mean, both of them are going to be obviously in shape still.
Yeah.
So can you do it in a few weeks and then
I
obviously go
suppose
from there.
the only argument is the Tony Ferguson Gaethje thing, make him wait twice in that amount of time. Does it massively diminish you? But
Possibly.
that's
I
for
mean,
them to decide,
that's
isn't it?
yeah. I mean, the UFC only ask. It's up to the fighter whether they want to take it or not. So
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure they'll ask, and they'll be, we can set this fight in, I don't know, 4 weeks time.
Yeah.
Like, if both of them say yeah, then that's all the UFC can do, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just offer them the fight. If they take it, then they take it. It's like Dana White said before. I think he said it with I forgot what fight it was now, but he came out to the media. I think it was Masvidal. He said to him,
I remember it happening.
he was coming out.
Remember with Jeremy Stevens and the Mexican guy, when that ended in an eye poke in the first round, and they rearranged that for about 3 weeks later. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now.
It's
Rodriguez. Yeah. It happened with them because I remember it happened about 30 seconds into the fight, and the crowd was booing and Yair Rodriguez was crying and stuff, so that was a pretty bad one. But yeah, hopefully we can get that done.
I could understand if the fight, because it was they had one round, and then I think it was about 40 seconds into the round 2 or something like that. So it's not as if they've had like a 3-4 round fight.
Yeah,
and then nothing really happened. I know Edwards rocked him with a head kick in the first round, but he recovered quite fast, and that was the only really damage he actually took, obviously apart from the eye poke.
Yeah,
that was the only damage he took. So that's that. For me, they could probably go in there in a few weeks. So it'd be interesting to see how quickly they do it, because they're going to have to do the rematch, aren't they?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. The rest of the card was pretty solid. Couple of decent knockouts on there. It's good fun to watch, to be honest. But other than that, I think cricket is the only thing we've got left to go over.
Yeah.
So England won the first T20 probably quite comfortably, and then India bit straight back and won the second T20 quite convincingly. So I'm hoping, rather than going the same way the Test, where England won the first one and then just lose the rest really badly, I'm hoping this goes the way of like an actual battle and we put up a fight, because being the favourites for the T20 World Cup, we need to beat teams like this in series like this. So I'm interested to see how the third goes.
I think they will. I think England are too good of a T20 side to get hammered.
Yeah.
Like the Test side did. So I'd imagine it's going to be like a back and forth type thing.
Yeah. I'm still sticking to 4-1, just as an optimist.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm very confident when it's England T20.
Yeah, we have been pretty impressive in the T20s. As I say, Owen Morgan's a genius, so I like his captaincy. But other than that, I think that's all we have to cover this time.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think what we would add is, obviously, when we've mentioned like the watch-alongs on here now, I know we do repost it to YouTube, but we do obviously do that on Twitch.
Yeah, we stream it live on Twitch.
Yeah, so we do it live on Twitch. So for people that don't want to watch like the replay, they want to come over, obviously watch it live. People do ask questions during the watch-alongs as well. So they can obviously come over to Twitch and ask like questions during the match as well.
For sure. But other than that, we will say, like the video, comment on the video, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and then check out the rest of the socials underneath the video. I think we've got Twitch there, Twitter's there, so all the links, everything you need. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Back Thursday?
Yeah, back Thursday. Bye.